Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we just ask you to watch over this meeting today, watch over all our citizens as they go about their lives this week. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Good morning, everybody. I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from last week.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are you including the special meeting with that too? It was last week.
Yeah. Do I need to redo that motion?
Probably be good if you don't mind just to do the regular and the special.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes from the regular meeting last week and the special meeting that we had.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Make a motion to approve the claims. Amount of $685,995.01.
I'll second. Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we also need to reschedule next week's meeting because Monday is Veterans Day.
I'll make a motion that we reschedule next week's meeting to Tuesday, November 12th due to Veterans Day.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is that all you had, David?
For me.
Any more?
Good morning, Don Brooks with AMR. I've got the past week's data from October 27th to November 3rd. Blue Mound had 7 calls, 1 transport. Lacine had 9 calls, 4 transports. Fontana had 2 calls, 1 transport. Linn Valley had 3 calls, 2 transports. Mound City had 8 calls, 5 transports. Parker, 6 calls, 3 transports. Pleasanton, 13 calls, 6 transports. Prescott, 3 calls, 1 transport, for a total of 51 calls and 23 transports this week. Anything else?
I don't have anything.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
The sheriff's report just came in this morning, but it is in your SharePoint now. And I've got a copy here if you need a paper one.
Sheriff's report for November 4th. Total prisoners 54. 10 released this past week. Total prisoners in 53. 1 farmed out. 43 of them farmed in. 89 911 calls. 5,220 jail contacts. 596 calls for service. 24 civil service papers served. 0 VIN inspections. 18 new cases opened. 3 cases closed, 13 vehicle crashes, 77 SRO activities, 105 bailiff contacts, and 0 livestock out. Ready?
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Higwell, Linn County Emergency Management and Rural Fire. I sent out this week's call totals. We had 14 calls, brings our yearly total up to 467. I did add a note that half of those calls were car deer accidents. So it's that time of year that we're starting to get busy with those. I would like permission to hire Blake Freeman to Station 940, which is Parker Station. It'd bring our roster total up to 8 out of 15. It would have been 9, but I had a guy move out. Parker moved to Lacine, so he went to that station.
What is he? Just somebody that's
Yeah, he's applied, so this would be for a volunteer firefighter.
I'll make a motion to hire Blake Freeman as a voluntary fireman at Parker Station. with
Pending physical and
pending physical.
physical and
This firefighter had been on the station a couple years ago, served a year to 2 years on there before. But yeah, still need the physical and the drug test, but he has been on the fire department before, so.
But you just get busy and with life and,
He moved back to
Oh, I got
Linn
you.
County, so he was wanting to get back on. He had
So-
served on Anderson County before. He lived over in the Garnett area.
we'll have a physical and
Yep.
drug screening. Okay.
I'll second that motion.
motion been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The only other thing I have was I'd sent information out about replacing a couple of vehicles, and didn't know if you guys had time to look over that, opinions, thoughts
You
on
want to
that.
discuss it? Are you
Yeah, that's fine.
you guys good with that?
Yeah.
You want to kind of explain? I got your email pulled up right here. If you want to just begin talking about it.
So, the SUVs that Brian and I drive, previous administration actually had budgeted for replacing the one that I drive through EM. A couple years ago, when I came on board, we'd been budgeting for it. I talked to David and there was quite a bit of money already saved for that vehicle. So that money is sitting there in EM. EM special equipment sitting at 139, 588.83. It's at 100,000 miles, almost 10 years old now. For what we use those for, we really should, safety wise, take them off the road and don't use them every day. The question would be, and then on Brian's, his is over 100,000. It's at 108,000. We just put $1,000 in the front end last week, fixing some just wear issues is what it is. But question I had was about replacing these vehicles and then what to do with these, whether sell the SUVs that we're driving now outright, or see if another department wants them, or rotate them in and get rid of our excursions. Some of our excursions are older, starting to have more issues than what these have, but it would take these and not make them a daily driver like what we're doing now. So,
What
driving
what are the excursions?
I do not remember the years right off the top of my head.
Early 2000s, mid 2000s?
Early 2000s. And they were purchased, I think one of them was purchased from a school district, and it has quite a lot more miles than what these SUVs have on them.
What's the purpose of having SUVs in the fire department?
So on the SUVs, they always ran them for like the med calls. When it was cold, they could take them out instead of taking a pump and run the risk of freezing it up. Just like the one that we got rid of to noxious weed, I'd like to do away with the SUVs, keep one or two for firefighters to take out of town to schools or conferences, but go to pickups because they're more versatile. And that's one reason we were looking at pickups to replace our SUVs is once we get to that point that we're rotating them out, we can rotate them into the stations, put brush units in them and use them for brush. So
Are these ones you're talking about purchasing already outfitted?
So I gave you the price of the vehicle, and then sent you the quote for the upfitting. Usually they just give you one price, but I wanted it broke out so you guys could see what the upfitting is
Now, is that outfitting, is that per vehicle?
per vehicle.
Per vehicle at the 20
Yeah.
one?
So, this company, they're the only ones that offer hey, we have the vehicle, we can upfit it, everything in one price. The sheriff's office has used it for quite a few vehicles, this company, and they're very pleased with what they've done work-wise as far as the lights, the wiring and everything like that. The problem is getting the trucks, just like everything. If you get two trucks, I talked to this company last week, they finally got some trucks in, they're going to sell quickly because it's just hard to get the first responder packages on trucks and get them in.
What the two SUVs, the 2015 and 2017, what are you estimating those are worth right now, as I said?
I don't know. Depends if you were selling them So there's a couple of sites that we can sell the emergency vehicles on, and with them already upfitted with the lights and stuff, we may get a little bit more out of them than if we just sold them to individuals wanting to strip the lights out of it and sell it as drive it as a everyday driver. So
Are those excursions that we have at the other shops, what are they? What year are they, you know?
I do not know, or off the top, I forgot to grab that information. I would talk to Brian.
Thousands.
Are they gas or diesel?
They're gas.
They're gas.
Gas.
Yeah. And a
Gas.
couple of them have different engines. Some of them have the V8s. I think one of them has the V10.
I don't know if you've changed the one out that was at the station here in Mountain City yet or not, but when I was line from fire, 4 years ago, it was pretty rough.
Yeah. The one here in Mountain City, it's hit a couple of deer and stuff like that. So, they're starting just more age stuff, like some electronic seats aren't working, the heating, cooling ain't working. That's why I'd like to get rid of them and keep these and just rotate them into the stations.
And did you have this into your budget plan this coming year?
So the one that would come out EM, that was budgeted 4 or 5 years ago, and the money had been saved since then. The one for the fire side was not put in the budget. The money's there for it in the special equipment.
So we'll say the 2015 was budgeted 4 years ago and nothing.
What was your question again?
So we budgeted for the 2015 to be replaced 4 years ago and we never.
Yeah, Doug was actually working on that, replacing that when I was hired and when he was outbound. So that we could have done it then, but to me, it didn't have enough miles on it. I wanted to get more use out of it before we had to replace it. So the money's just been sitting there since then.
These two are the ones that are drove all the time, right? The other one, like the excursion stuff, they just set.
Yeah, they just set a lot. Yeah, these are the ones that are used every day. And like I said, some of these are lower mileage than the excursions because they were bought used from school districts in different places.
And they're outfitted too with sirens and everything.
Mhm.
Me personally, I think I would like to see these rotated in for the worst ones we have sitting at the shop. I think that would make sense. No, you guys?
I think so too.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to get rid of the excursions because the other thing is the excursions are a lot bigger. These are a little bit smaller SUVs and they're going to carry everything those excursions do.
And the ones that set the shop probably don't even get 1,000 miles a year put on them probably.
No.
That's what I would like to see. You guys,
State the price.
so what are you going to do? Just go try to get a more set
See.
plan and come back and talk to us about it, or how are you going to do it?
So I'd like permission to buy the vehicle and upfit it with that quote. The total is 2 quotes. And the quote that he based that on is the lights and the sirens and everything is the same way that he's setting the sheriff's department stuff up. So it'd match their stuff.
So
So it'd be the 53,750 plus the 21.
plus the 21.
Yeah.
Per vehicle.
Per vehicle. And those come out of 2 different budgets. So one would come out of the EM special equipment and then the other one would be fire special
And
equipment.
these are 4-wheel drive pickups.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that on that list that I did include that we don't have now was a grill guard. And that's one thing that I talked to Sheriff Friend when he was in office about that he really liked doing on his, because if we do hit a deer, it kind of helps prevent some of the damage and downtime. So
Depending on how quick you need that and who else is applying, there is some money available through K-Camp each year. Through the risk avoidance grant that we bought some of those things with before.
Okay.
So the first of the year, some of that would be available. Check it into anyway.
would that be something that we could upfit some of the older vehicles with?
Yeah, I mean, anything in the.
Okay.
But if we can look into that if you'd like to, when we got some time.
Okay, no problem. like I said, my main worry on this is he has the trucks now. I would bet he would sell them this week just because everybody needs the trucks. And the other thing I didn't mention on the trucks is NFPA has changed their guidelines on carrying equipment with you. And you can't carry soiled, like our bunker gear and stuff we're carrying in the back of our SUVs now. They want that outside the breathing air compartment. And so a lot of fire departments are getting rid of these SUVs because of that fact. Because all it does is circulate those toxins while you're sitting there driving.
So like moving these to the fire departments, or we're gonna get in trouble there? I mean,
No, most time they're not in their gear. They're running med calls. So they're set up for like gloves, rubber gloves and stuff like that.
Okay.
Very seldom do they have their gear in those to take them anywhere.
What'd you say the upgrade cost was, exact cost?
$21,292.71.
$292.71.
Yes.
And that they do the truck and outfitting too?
Yeah, when they call, we go pick it up. It's ready to, the radios are in it. Everything's ready to go on.
And then the grill guard's on top of this.
No, that quote includes
with the grill guard?
Yeah, that was just something I was putting out there. That's something extra that we hadn't bid before. So
We run them on everything too, because I think the insurance should give you a break on putting them on there, but they won't.
yeah.
Were the trucks more expensive than the SUVs?
So the SUVs for what we have, the SUV is 54,950 and the truck's 53,750.
Okay.
Now we could go down to a smaller SUV and it's about $8,000 difference than a truck. But like I said, once we're done with these trucks, we can take them to a station, put a brush unit in it and use it later down the road where we can't with the SUVs.
Right.
You guys got any more questions, concerns?
I don't.
So you'll just come back to us and let us know. I guess we'll talk about the excursions.
Yeah,
Later.
I'll get all the mileage and talk to Brian, see which ones are the worst shape and bring that to you next week and we can, you guys decide if you want to get rid of those or, I don't know if another county department would need the use of an excursion, a bigger SUV.
I'm good with it if you guys are. And one of them was budgeted 4 years ago and we never did anything about it.
Right. The EM one was already budgeted and money had been saved for it. Like I said, in the EM special equipment where this would come out of, there's $139,588.83. And then the other one would come out of the special fire equipment. There's $707,882.92. Is that with the truck taken out of it, David?
I just looked at a balance and
Okay.
I'm not sure if I think it was. Let me get back to it.
Bayport did call. They are ready to turn over that tender. So we'll be getting it probably into this week and getting it back to the county and in service.
It was in the claims to be paid this.
Yeah.
If you guys are good with the purchasing of the 2 new vehicles outfitted, I'll make a motion that we allow Randy to move forward with purchasing 2 new trucks and rotating the SUVs into the other shops. Should we do an allowance or up to? I mean, is there going to be any unforeseen cost?
There won't be any changes on that. That's good numbers. The only thing that I'll point out is I don't know if they need 2 motions because it's going to come out of 2 different accounts. One will be EM, one will be fire.
I think we're fine.
Okay.
I noted in there that there was money in those 2 places for it.
Okay.
So it was $53,750 for the trucks and then $21,292.71 to outfit each one of them.
Yes.
So was it 70? $75,042.71 per vehicle.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Special fire, I don't think has that
Okay.
truck out of it yet, so it is gonna be lower balance than that, but there's still plenty in there to do this.
Okay.
Cause that was in this pay.
Yeah.
It hasn't cycled through everything.
That's what I kind of figured, but I'd ask. That is all I have unless you guys have
Got
questions.
anything coming up? I saw you did that trunk or treat in Pleasanton. I think that was pretty cool. Good out, or, people came out and enjoyed that. I think I've seen a lot of people that were really impressed with it. So thank you for doing that. So,
We do have some business. We have an Evergy plant tour and a Fabcom tour coming up for the firefighters. I was actually at Chiefs Conference last week. One of the big topics that they talked about was our reporting system changing a little bit, but some of that is based on the ISO and how things are recorded and how ISO is getting their information out of our reports. So that'll be starting first year on that. So,
what's your tour of the Evergy? Just so you guys know if there's ever
yeah, it's like a
crisis, you know,
walk through. Hey, this is the hazard areas and stuff. There's some things that they're required to do by law because of the chemicals and stuff. And so doing this walkthrough, we get out there, we see it, and then we can sign off on the reports that they have to turn into the government. So,
Good. All right. I don't have anything else for you.
Thank you, Randy.
all right, thank you.
Amanda?
Amanda Snyder, Linn County Health Department. Our numbers for October, we had 288 appointments. Last 2 weeks ago, breastfeeding staff attended the Kansas Breastfeeding Conference. While we were there, Vicki and I completed our designated breastfeeding expert certifications for WIC. We are also in the middle of completing our certified lactation counselor course. We're about a third of the way through. We'll set for that exam in April. We've started a new breastfeeding newsletter. That's one of the things that I passed out. This will be sent out monthly to our pregnant and breastfeeding clients. It will also be posted on our social media and eventually on our website. It just has some information, upcoming breastfeeding things that we're doing, education, how to contact us. It has our warm line on there, so a number that somebody can text if they're having an issue. We can assist them. This week, our nurses will be giving flu shots to Jayhawk and Prairie View students. Last Friday, we held our first mobile WIC clinic in Blue Mound. We were able to provide appointments for 11 clients. We'll be back in Blue Mound again in December. Our fall initiative for WIC is promoting hand washing as a part of our nutrition education plan. So for every family that comes in for an appointment, they are given a bottle of hand soap that has that tag on it, and on the back it talks about the importance of washing your hands and how you should wash your hands, mostly geared towards our little ones, ages 0 to 5, because they're germy and it's germ season. We are hosting a flange fit clinic on November 19th at our offices from 10 to 2. This is something that was also in that breastfeeding newsletter. Again, has been on our social media and has also been advertised at our local health clinics. So that newsletter, along with some of our upcoming stuff, I distributed to CHC. I talked to some providers there, and they were willing to hand those out to clients to refer them to us. We're in the process of planning a cooking class that demonstrates how you can use your WIC benefits during the holidays. We're also working with the Alzheimer's Foundation to become certified Alzheimer's educators. This will allow us to provide education and support to Linn County citizens. And then one of our projects for this winter, I've started it, I'm kind of in the middle, is updating our page within the Linn County website. So kind of redesigning our whole page, adding more resources, links to different educational resources or videos. It needs an update. So that's something I've been working on. I've talked to Chris, and the way we kind of talked about it is I would design everything in an electronic format that has all the pictures and verbiage that I want, and then send that to him with all the links and media that he can then drop in the way that we want it set up. Other than that, the only other thing I have is last time I asked about evaluations. I didn't know if you had a time scheduled for those yet.
We don't yet, no.
Okay.
Things been pretty hectic, so
Need to be sooner rather than later.
we'll get on it.
Do you have any questions for me?
Now, I see this.
Oh, yeah. So this is something that I had made and we have that we hand out to people when they come for appointments. It's just a quick way for them to sign up for that Civic Ready. They can scan that code on the back and it takes them right to that application.
Good.
So, like I had said, if there's any other departments that would like these, I'd be happy to send that file over if they want to print them.
Yeah, I think we should utilize every opportunity we can to try to get people to sign up. Do we know what our numbers are since we talked about the last 3 weeks?
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I think I think it's a good idea. Thank you for doing that. It looks nice.
Yep.
Thank you, man.
Yep.
Go ahead. You got it.
You can wash your hands.
Yeah.
You can keep that. Actually, I just. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. Sean?
Sean West, Public Works Administrator. Commissioners, I apologize, you don't have a new agenda for this week. You got some add-ons from last week from me being absent, and I needed to do some clarification and clean up some things as far as housekeeping goes. One of those things was that, yes, Burton has the QuickCom documents and is working on that as of last week. You wanted 2 weeks out from last week's meeting, you wanted to meet with the cities. I have everything but one document from one HOA. They've either signed it or sent all the questions. I can get all that pushed out to you this week so we can have that meeting. When and where would you like to have that meeting?
In this one?
Yeah. I mean, can we do next week?
During the meeting sometime?
Yeah. Do it like
Tuesday.
Meeting.
Tuesday? So do it at the end of the meeting on Tuesday after we get done with public comment and all that stuff, kind of like a work.
Like 11:30. What do you think, David?
I don't have anything scheduled yet.
So,
I think if you pick a time, we'll block it out.
Let's just say, let's plan on trying to get everybody here at 11. You guys are good with that?
I am.
Okay. Other notes that I had was Queens Road was discussed. Again, we've taken no action on that. That was just looking for your input on what direction and how in the future you wanted to handle that project or roadway. I don't think there's a deadline or a timeline for a decision from you all on whether or not you want to look towards repairs, funding, and keeping it in our hands, or seeing if the state had a better opportunity if it was their roadway for funding and a better mechanism for funding.
I just feel like if we don't put deadlines on this, it's just going to keep getting drug out. I mean, it's, you guys got thoughts on it?
Well, we talked about it last week, and I mean, I'd like to see what the state has to say if we give it to them to make sure it continues to stay open for use, for public use.
That's my main concern.
Fine, but I don't have a problem with giving it to them if we can come to an agreement that
That it'll stay open.
it stays open for the people.
So would you like me to try to find an administrator with the ability to have that discussion and invite them here?
Yes,
Okay.
I think that's our next step.
Next thing I had for you was Terracon, groundwater, the scope of service change. This is for our 30-year groundwater monitoring. Change orders attached. The message for your authorization to provide additional budget for additional groundwater monitoring at Linn County landfill. Field work took several hours longer than initially estimated, and the report is still in progress. Has also taken longer than anticipated, mainly due to the need to manually extract and tabulate extensive historical data from the jumbled of laboratory reports and field data sheets received from KDHE. Comprehensive historical data tables are necessary for making a compelling argument to terminate the groundwater monitoring program. The supplemental or scope of service change would be asking for an additional $1,750 to complete that project because of the reasons mentioned prior to.
So they're not going to keep doing it for another 30 years. This is on our
I'm sorry?
30 years that we've already,
Yes, and
this is
They're-
trying to close things
they're
up.
trying to close things out and trying to get the data to make a compelling argument to close this out.
Does it say what the original cost was?
12,500 is what it was budget.
Bid at?
The total approved budget to complete this task was 12,500. And they're asking for another 1,750.
Yes.
Did they agree to do it for the first cost?
How many change orders is this for this combined? For this, with this company, for all that work that's been put in? Is this the third?
I believe that's the first one for this one, but as far as the elevation of the cells, there was a change order and there may have been one other. You may be correct.
So is this not lumped in as one? They're two different projects, or is it?
Yes, they are completely two different projects. The cell expansion and the planning of that project and the water monitoring are two totally different projects, as well as the tipping floor would be a completely third project from the other two.
So if we don't pay them this, they're not going to complete it, or what?
If we don't pay that, then obviously we're going to have an issue getting them to complete the report to try to end that 30-year monitoring of those wells.
I mean, their change order scope is just additional groundwater monitoring and then additional project management. What was the original 12,500, supposed to cover initially?
Well, from the email that was attached, which is what I read, above and beyond the scope of services change, was that field work took several hours longer than initially estimated. the report's still in progress and taking longer than estimated, and extracting and tabulating historical data from KDHE files is also taking quite some time, with comprehensive historical data tables necessary to make the compelling argument to end the groundwater testing. So that historical data and the tabulation and the field work took longer than they believed it would.
So they were wrong in their estimating, and we have to, now we're getting hit for it. I hate that. I mean, when I mess up in estimating, I don't get to come back and give a vague scope of work like that and say I need $1,700. It don't work like that. I mean, you win some and you lose some. I don't. What do you guys think? So if we don't do it, then we're at a standstill on moving forward on the sales and the tip and floor.
No,
Um, this-
groundwater only.
But I mean, so this ain't going to stop the projects, the other two things we have going on.
No,
I would venture that by not doing this, if we don't get our release, then we'll be doing more monitoring in the future, right?
I'd say that's what it says, but if you don't get released from your,
If we don't,
they'll just force us to monitor groundwater longer because we can't get released from monitoring it.
right?
But-
And I mean, is that gonna be in another 5 years? Are we gonna be spending another 15,000 at that time? I don't like it either, Danny, but I don't know.
I feel that when they bid it, they should stay by their bid, like what you say, but what Jason's saying is what they've got us, they'll just continue to make us monitor to the wells.
That's my concern. $1,750 today, if we can get it closed out so that we're not doing 15,000 in 5 years, because it'll go up. Is
Will they verify this is the only change order they'll have on this situation?
when I turn that back in, if you sign that before I release it, if you're telling me only release it if I am guaranteed that this is the final change order, then I will hold it until I get that guarantee in writing.
I'd like to have the guarantee that this is the only change order we have on this.
I will have an email in hand before I hand it over, if that's your direction.
I mean, they'll probably provide us with some kind of closeout document, right? I mean,
I'm
they'll
sorry?
probably provide us with some kind of closeout document, correct?
Correct.
I mean, I think, and there's probably no retainer or anything kind of held back on our end on this, huh?
No.
Well, I would like to use that 750 as kind of a retainer, saying like, if, we get these closeout documents and there's no more extra cost to it,
Once
we're
it's
okay with
closed
it.
out, we'll pay you the extra $1,750 is
Yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah.
I'm okay with that.
You're saying once we get the final project,
Closeout.
you're okay with,
Yeah,
with making the final payment?
yeah.
But that'll be
Okay.
the
The
final payment,
$1,750, yeah.
$1,750.
For a total of $14,250.
I will email them and get that back in writing.
Okay. You guys good with that? Yeah.
I am.
I'm good with it.
I think that makes sense.
So at this point, you just want it noted in here that you want to get that guarantee before.
Yeah, we'll just kind of use that as
This
a,
is a final
final
cost,
payment.
And we would get our closeout.
Okay. Your 1095 project from 1650 to K152, the let date, it's a moving target at this point as projects go forward and different things occur in the process, but 6/18 of 25 is your let date at this current time for that project.
Okay.
I have for you BP 2024-10. This is at 4950 Ingram Road, Blue Mound, Kansas. It's a 2-inch water pipe. This is a trench across the roadway. This is a dead-end roadway south of the highway, with a water line going in, and the property owner and the water contractor having done work before, understanding that they are going to be required to keep gravel there on site to fix any settling even though it's a dead-end roadway, to fix any settling as the foreman deems necessary as we go along with this project. I don't perceive there being an issue, and the foreman and myself have already signed off on this.
Who's installing it?
Josh Mitchell.
So it's just a private water line?
Yes, that's correct.
You guys got any concerns or questions on it?
I don't.
My question to you, commissioners, would be in the future, operational wise, do you want Jesse and I both to review those after the foreman looks at them, or do you want Jesse, or do you want me to continue to sign off of those after the foreman? How do you want those handled as we move forward with those permits?
Well, you guys do it daily. What do you think? I mean, which way do you guys think it's easiest and makes most sense between you two?
I think it would be better for Sean.
Jesse, what do you think?
Either way, I'm good with, whichever way we decide to go.
Sean, what do you think?
I think most of the small projects like this one, the foremans and Jesse are going to know more about anything. I think the larger projects where we have contractual agreements and everything involved, that Jesse, I, and the foreman should all sign off on them. That all three of us should be invested in the project at different levels, because all three of us are going to be dealing with different parts of it. But as far as the small one goes, I'm okay with either Jesse or I, either one, and or whichever one's available, and a foreman. I don't think we're both going to be here every day, but either one of us should be able to sign one of these along with a foreman and drive on.
I just want consistency.
Well, your foreman's going to be reporting to
I
you.
think we need to be looking at a restructuring first, though, before we make a statement, right, too. I mean, where we're at with foremans.
Okay.
What do you think, Danny?
I mean, my thought is just that, Jesse being over,
That's what I would say, that would be
Weaver,
best. I mean,
yeah.
Jesse is the one in charge of it.
Okay.
are you good with that?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out, we'll,
Once they get signed by both parties and they get approved, if Jesse drops it on my desk, I can do the back end and get it all entered into our system, get them all scanned in, and
Sean.
do the back end paperwork on them and make sure that we track them.
Okay.
So when we do, approve, burial permits, stuff like that, do we check to make sure that they're compliant with like permits and things like that, building permits and things?
You mean if they're running a water line?
Yeah.
Whether or not they
Yeah.
have a building permit or a sanitation permit, or if they come in and ask for one permit and don't ask for the other and both are required, yes.
Sometimes it'd be for water, for cattle or anything.
Right,
It could
right.
be. I mean, it might
Yeah.
not be any other building permits involved, but yeah.
So, I mean, do we ask them when they're putting a 2-inch water line, what they're doing? I mean, do we?
Yes, and whether or not a garage would have a bathroom in it, because that would require sanitation. When we have them fill out those forms, we inquire as to whether or not they need to fill out any others at the time.
Okay. All right. Just wondering how that worked. So I'm good. You want to see this?
I'll make a motion. We approve burial permit 2024-10 at 4950 Ingram Road for a 2-inch water line.
I'll second. Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 July of last year.
I did the same thing.
These are the same documents you signed July of last year after approval. David and I have been working on this. What has occurred is, as part of the Hell's Bend project, we had to get a permit from the railroad. We approved a couple of checks and those applications for those permits. They needed 2 inked or wet copies of those permits and the checks mailed to them. We packaged all those things up, scanned them all, kept copies of them all, and sent them off. We now have learned that neither one of those checks have ever been cashed and they can't find the documents. So we are having to reduplicate those things before the spring start date on this project. I don't know that you want to approve again something you've already approved, which was signing those documents. But I do need 2 ink copies of those documents, and David is working on duplicating and canceling out the old checks so that we can overnight this stuff and get this done.
Why have we not canceled the checks anyway this far out? Why didn't we not see that they?
Typically, we wait until about the end of the year and go back and look at checks that haven't come through, and Janet and I discuss canceling them at that time.
You can't invest it at the end of the year last year. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes we'll, if we think that one might still be coming, we'll let it go, but.
Okay.
So we're not spending any more money. We're just redoing the agreement.
Yes, we're doing the same thing we've done before because apparently those agreements have been lost.
Which is the easement on the Hell's Bend.
The railroad easement on Hell's Bend to allow us to work across the railroad right away.
And do we need a new motion if we're dating it? David,
I'm sorry.
do we need a new motion if we're dating it a different date?
It would probably be good to get it in the minutes.
Do we need to cancel the first 2 checks before we make these 2?
Well, that's going to be as simple as Janet can put a stop pay on them, and then we'll run it through the system. So that's not a big issue. We'll do that in a day.
I'll make a motion that we enter into the easement agreement with the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad Company as of today for the right-of-way for the Hills Bend Bridge, canceling out our previously issued checks and issuing new checks.
What's the amount of the checks? I don't see it on here, but I missed.
Have to find it. Okay, looks like it's a total of $7,500.
Yes, 2 checks, 5,000 and 2,500.
Yes.
And allow Danny to sign as chairman.
You said 5,000 was one and 2,500 is the other?
Yes, 2 checks.
I'll second that motion. Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Go ahead, Sean, if you want.
Commissioners, at this time, that's all I had for you, other than I would request 10 minutes for executive session for non-elected personnel.
So I want to talk about 900 Road real quick. I went out and looked at it because it's right next to my house. It looks like there's some concrete we got poured in it. What's our next step on this?
That was, if you're talking about the 900 road project, that was something Jesse and I were going to talk about when we got to the operational portion of the meeting. But if you'd like to go ahead and start that discussion, we will now.
Okay, that's fine. You guys already planned on talking about it. Well, I can just wait on it.
We need to have a detailed discussion about that here shortly.
Okay, all right. Well, let's go ahead and bring Jesse up and introduce him, his new position in the county, and we can start.
Jesse Walton, Operations Supervisor for the Road Department. Throughout the week, last week, we've had lots of trees down that we spent several days clearing out of the road. Had some power lines down that we had to wait on the power companies to come discharge the power so we get them out. Road graders were out all week and mowers were out all week taking care of roads. In Pleasanton, they were working on their dump truck number 207, getting a radiator put back in it. I'm not sure on the whole backstory on that, but they're getting it put back together. We're going to get a salt bed in it and make sure everything works on it so we can get ready for winter. They had several signs down that they went and put back up. Tuesday, this will get into the 900 road project here in just a little bit. On Tuesday, they poured their first set of flowable fill on the 900 road project. That went well. And then on Thursday, we poured the second lift. I was out there for that, in which one of the tubes floated. We'll get into that discussion here in a little bit. In Mound City, they had several trees they cleaned up. We did get the school bus signs up out on 1077, out by 1600. We did get those up. They also had a numerous signs down that they were able to replace and get back up. They replaced a tube out on Ingram Terrace to complete a drainage service project. They also installed an extension out at Lavender Farms on Montgomery Road.
That one needs to take a look at Jesse, they put it in there, but it's, you go look at it, it's more things.
Well, they have a note here, Jim, that says they need to go out and look at the dirt work on that. So that is on my list to go out there.
It needs.
And check on that
attention,
one.
Because if we get a big rain, the ditch needs cleaned.
Okay, we'll get that on the list. That is on my list to go check that out. The John Deere tractor that was leased, we ended up with 291 and a half hours on it. They're scheduling it for pickup. They're going to go through with Heritage Tractor and do a complete walk around on it, and take pictures and make sure everything's good with it.
How did that work out for us? Is that something we need to continue doing? Did you guys like that program?
I don't know, because that was something they kept down here. So I honestly don't know. I'll visit with Denny about that, see if that was worth doing on that. That's one of the things I need to go through.
Can we kind of look at the costs once we get everything done with them picking up? So
Yeah, and that's one thing I'm going to go through is the cost of that, leasing the tractor, the rate of pay for the employee on that.
Okay.
If there was any breakdowns with it, where our cost was at on that, to make sure that that was cost effective to go that
Why
direction.
are we returning it now? Is lease up or just because we're that close?
You know, I honestly don't know, Jim.
Wonder why, I think we had 350 hours is what I'm saying, is what I thought it was. Am I wrong, or?
I can't remember the exact.
There was a 350 hour lease on it. Like I said, Jim, I'm
I
not,
may be wrong, but it was either 3 or 350, and we could be to the hours, but I mean, if, I don't know why we're returning it yet if we're not within the leap,
if we haven't used it as much as we can.
that's what I think. If we got it, if the lease is still there, should we not keep it to,
And keep running it.
but I could look back. I don't remember what the lease was, but for some reason I
I
thought it was
don't either.
350 hours. You remember that, Sean? That tractor, that John Deere tractor, is it 350 hour lease?
I'll have to pull up the lease agreement, but, it was at 3, was where we were cutting it down. I do not recall whether it was 3 or 350 on the lease agreement, but I'll
Pull it up and see what the hours is. And I'm saying if there's still hours there, we might as well use it. Because it was a set fee for so many hours is what I
Yes,
thought.
it was a fixed fee for a number of hours.
Yeah. And they've even said that if we went over a little bit, it wasn't a
A big deal.
big deal, but I just think we should get all of it that we can if the hours.
Do you want to visit with the foreman and that, where that
Yep,
tractor's at?
sure will. Yep. In Mound City Shop, they also got their track loader put back together. They've been working on a roll-off truck from the dump, getting it put back together. They're having a hard time with our diagnostics computer connecting to it to figure out what codes it's throwing. We've had this problem before. We do a little update and it'll bring those codes back up. So I know that's what they're working on, is to get that to where we can figure out what's going on with that truck. They've been out re-inspecting the tubes that they've designated that need replacement immediately. They've been out there looking at those, and those are one of the things I'm going to go with both foremans to go look at all those tubes, and so we can prioritize those and get those on the priority list. One of the things that we've got in both shops is some of them are going to be crossing paved roads, so we're going to look at that to see where we're at and how quick we need to replace those on those paved roads. They're going to get their truck.
I would like to look at too, Jesse, when we do the paved roads and looking at concrete, because if they keep us sinking on us, maybe concrete is the thing to go over them with. I mean,
And that's one thing that I've suggested also is there may be some that we got to put concrete in with to
because
help
like
solidify
on
that.
1077, we went back 3 times, or I don't know how many times we went back, and the last time we dug out around them, but maybe we should look at concrete them.
Yep, and I don't think that's a bad way to go.
I don't know that, but it's, it saves having to go back 3 times.
Right, correct.
Yes.
They're also going to look at getting their trucks ready for snow removal. Out on 800 Road and Waddles, I guess they did a tree project earlier with some cottonwood trees. They're looking to go and knock the rest of those trees down.
Evergy came in and topped those, right?
I think so, yeah. Yep. So they're looking at getting the rest of those trees taken out, get that cleaned up over there.
It's been in that road like that forever.
Oh yeah, and there's been a lot of wrecks there too. People,
It's
yeah,
out in the right of way.
yeah, they're huge too.
Yeah,
Evergy came in and topped everything below their power line, so there's little stubs sticking up now, but I don't know, what are they, 10, 12 foot tall maybe?
they're a little bit bigger than that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you take them to ground level or below ground.
they'll
level.
take them right to ground level and we'll get them down as far as we can. So out there on the 900 project where the culverts are at, the trees that we did cut down, we brought in our excavator with our mulching head and mulch that stump right down to the ground. So if that's something we need to do out there on 800 road, it actually really did. It worked out really good because we couldn't disturb anything below the root ball due to our permit on that, and it worked really good. So that may be something we look at on those trees to just grind them down clear to the ground on that project. In the north shop, like I said earlier, we had several trees down, especially on power lines, so that was taken care of. We replaced 4 culverts this week over there. That was on our list from our culvert inspections, and just did some minor maintenance on equipment, replacing hydraulic hoses and such, just to keep things going. Any questions for me?
On 900 road, and Sean and I kind of talked about this. How many yards of concrete are in there right now?
35.
35? And we have to fill that thing all the way up?
So we don't have to fill it all the way up. We have to fill it 6 feet deep on there. So at least halfway up the tube.
So probably another over 100.
So we'd scheduled to buy 50 yards from them, and we'd only got 35 poured.
when it floated.
Correct.
So is there a way we can send the RFI into this engineer and ask him, does it make sense to embed like straps over the top of it and embed?
So that's one thing we're going to discuss with the engineer on this. He's emailed back a few times about what he thinks is okay. I'm not settled with it.
So
So
the pressure down below floated. It's okay.
correct. So as we poured that flowable fill, it picked it up 2 feet and brought it up. And to me, that's not acceptable. We've permitted this for these tubes to be ground level or a foot below ground level. Sean's been in contact with the engineer. He's emailed back. We just need to have a sit down with him and get all this put together. I personally think he needs to be out there when we do these things. I've worked for engineering firms before, and these are things I think they need to be out there. We also need to have a discussion with him on, I would like to put anchors in the ground to hold that tube down while we pour, and see what he thinks of that, see if that's going to make our permit invalid, or if we can do that to keep it valid. If not, figure out something else to hold that tube down, or just do small lifts as we go. I think this is going to take a lot longer than what we anticipated to get this project out of the way.
We
Because
followed everything the
floated.
engineer said to do the way.
We did it exactly the way he said. I actually have a bucket of the flowable fill that he said to use.
So now we got to lift one of those tubes that end up floated and hammer drill all that out to get that thing.
We're going to have to lift that west tube out to clear out the flowable fill that's under it, put it back to ground level, fill that tube back up with a foot of dirt, and it's not going to be cheap to pull that tube.
I don't even know what concrete is now. What does flowable fill? 115 a yard?
35.
135 a yard?
There's been some discussion as far as leaving the tube there because one tube is at the flow line level and the other would handle the overflow, and then concreting over the top of those tubes because we don't have the clearance for the 12 inches of cover that we would need. Jesse and I are going to have a detailed discussion with the engineer on this because this is 180 from the plan that we originally were given. And it also is not or may not be in conformance with the permit, which is the whole reason we used the engineering firm to permit this and to do the project management to make sure that we didn't run into these issues. So
And the engineer was not on site when they was doing this.
Although he did come and look at it before the pour and told us that, that the tubes should not float, although even pouring them in lifts, they floated. So at this point, we're going to be looking to him and his company to aid us in rectifying this. And that's the reason we hired an engineer to help with this project, because it is a very large, very expensive project. And if we were to take that tube out, the odds of that tube being able to be put back in and sealed the way it is after being attached to all that flowable fill and beat back out of there, not very good.
So what,
So there could be some cost at replacing some items before we put it back in.
so what, I mean, is he,
We don't know. He's in Arizona right now.
well, he still has an engineering firm that had made these plans for us, and we're at a,
He's in Arizona right now, and we're continuing to work with him. And as soon as we have another answer or a better answer, or need to bring him in here and work the issue out, we will. But that is the sole reason we permitted this, and we used an engineer for this, is so that you didn't have us taking a guess as to whether or not the tens and tens of thousands of dollars that you've invested in this, we're going to be.
well, yeah, I mean, that's,
He
it's,
needs to be,
I mean, on big projects like this, there's always, in my life, there's always liquidated damages, and there's damages right now, and we're being held up, and it's costing everybody money and time and
costing
effort.
us time and money waiting on them.
I mean, he has a firm that he works for, correct? That they don't know why they couldn't, I mean, this is kind of an emergency, in my opinion.
We will express that and find out where we can get this week, and if need be, bring him in next week or a representative of the firm. But this is a large project. That's why we had engineering involved.
Jesse, do you know, is this typically how, I mean, I don't know how you, I mean, because to me, it makes sense to put like some kind of eyelet anchor on each side, pour like piers, embed the anchors into it, and then tie a steel cable over top of it and strap each one of them down. Is that not?
You can do, there's several ways you can do that to keep those tubes from floating. I've seen them actually put rock in between them and then pour concrete over the top of it. That way that tube doesn't float because you don't have as much displacement. That rock filling the bottom of it. And the main part of it is just to hold it down on top and then pour concrete on either end where the center is so it doesn't wash out on you. So, but I'm not an engineer, but that's the way we've done it in the past and in what I've done.
I mean, 'cause to put another, how many yards do you think we're gonna have to put in there if we keep going the way we are? There's 35
we'll
right
have to
now.
put another 20, 25 yards in there, maybe 30. We've moved that tube a good 1.5 feet to the west. So we now have a bigger gap inside.
Well,
Yep. So we got to reform the north and south ends of those tubes so that flow fill doesn't come back out.
So is that flowable fill only in between the middle of them? It's not on each side?
Correct. It's in the middle. That's the way they designed it because we're using the walls as stabilizers on the outside, the dirt walls, and then using that flowable fill in the center.
I'm not an engineer, but this don't make sense. You'd think if I don't know. Anyway, I'm not an engineer, so I don't even talk about it, but
That's why I said we just need to bring him in, have a sit down with him, and go over this.
I'd like to see him here. I mean, I think this is an emergency myself. They should be here.
Yeah, and it is honestly holding us up. We just need to get this project done and out of the way.
Okay.
okay.
Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Got anything else for me?
I don't have anything.
I just want to kind of explain go over kind of what we hired you for. You're going to be over kind of all the barns as the main go-to guy.
Correct.
And, I know there's going to be a lot of stuff that you have no idea about, kind of like the tractor thing. And we know you're going to be looking into that stuff and overseeing all of that. And you're going to be coming here reporting to us every week. and you're going to be the go-to guy in the road department.
Correct. Yep. And it'll be, like we discussed before, it's going to be a couple weeks making that transition to get everybody on board and get everything lined out where it needs to be so we can get moving forward. Taking care of these things that need to be taken care of.
We're trial and error period for a while, I think, so we're going to figure it out. But I do have two things for you. So on 700 Road, I keep getting calls about residents on 700. I think it's 700. Is that the landfill one I was talking to you about? The nails and tires and stuff from people going to the landfill. Is that where we put the?
That's further south than that. 800 is right there at the bridge. 7 will be down. You're talking closer to 5.
Somewhere in there, wherever we have a metal track that goes on the grader we put on and it supposedly picks up nails.
A magnet bar.
Yeah. I don't know how often we use that, but I've had a few residents in that area ask me if we have a, continuous plan on that or what, because they're tired of paying for their tires. So I don't know what we do there and if you guys have any ideas.
We scheduled it, I believe, for either bi-monthly or every 30 days in our system
Right.
after the last time we talked.
And then there was one other. Out on, I think it's 800 Road. Last week we had Centigrader out there, did some washboard stuff on a hill.
Yep.
By Tom Dennis's, and then we went back out and did some more work. And I got a text or a message on Facebook from a resident out there said that it's worse than it was when we started because of the rain. Is there anything we can do about those washboards? I mean,
So I talked with Todd about that this morning. We're actually going to go out, strip the gravel off. We're going to lay down a base of shale clay under it, take out the roller and roll it and pack it in, and then just relay the gravel back down. So that is something that Todd is aware of. We're going to go out and work that over.
we have
So
a plan. Okay. I'm
Yep.
making sure. So
Yep.
they've asked me a few times about it, so I just wanted to be sure it was addressed. So. All right. Well, welcome. And I don't think I have anything else for you. So.
I don't have anything.
okay.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Sean, do you have anything else?
Just 10-minute executive session for non-elected personnel.
Does Joyce want to talk about the transportation grant real quick?
I'd say she needs to get that done today. Anyway.
While we wait on her, we're open up for public comment. If anybody has a public comment, please come up and state your name and your comment.
It's as close as I have today. You told me.
Quiet, huh? What's your birthday?
Let me ask you. Let me talk to Sean.
I did. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
All right. Another action in the county. We have been going through interviews the last few weeks over economic development. We've had multiple people come and interview and a bunch of great candidates, and we appreciate their time and effort coming in. And it was a hard decision, I think. I can speak for everybody, I believe, and we've made a decision to go ahead and hire Chastity Ware of Mound City to become our economic development director at 14F, which is $57,461 per year salary.
And that is with no insurance benefit, right? I mean, she don't want insurance.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that part either.
I don't know, she didn't need insurance.
So welcome, Chastity, and thank you everybody else that
We need
applied.
a
And
motion.
yeah, that was my motion, actually, sorry. So that was my motion to hire her at a 14F and welcome her to the county.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So we'll want to do a contract stating that, and I think I can probably take the one we had before, and some of that language is already in it. I also need to get the one for Darren's part.
That's, you guys agree that she did not want insurance, right?
That's correct.
And I directed her to call you and get everything
She's
figured
out
out.
of town at the moment. She'll be back later in the week, so we'll get things worked out.
Okay. So
Are you guys ready for me?
we're ready.
Sorry, I was on the phone.
You're right.
Every November, I have to present to you my transportation grant request. So that's why I'm in here for today. I've put together my budget for our transportation, and this year I budgeted $118,570 for my grant. And that's a decrease of $5,571 from last year. A lot of that decrease is because we do have replacement vans now, so I'm not anticipating we'll have as many repair expenses. The fuel I kind of left alone because I have no idea what the fuel prices are going to do. Anyway, I also expect our revenue will decrease about $1,000 this year. We've seen an increase in people asking for rides due to the fact that it's cheaper for us to take them than them to pay for gas themselves. We have a lot more people, it seems, on DCF assistance as well. So those are reduced fares, which cuts into our collections. So that's just an FYI. What I've got for you to sign, the first one is a letter to KDOT, and it's basically outlining our elderly budget and basically says the county will pay for their matching support for the grant. On the operation portion of the grant, the federal match is 80%, so the county match would be 20%, which is around $19,000. On the, okay, that was the administrative part, sorry. The operating, they will match us at 50%, the state will match us at 20%, so that leaves the county liable for 30%, which is about $6,924. So the total county portion would be $26,022, assuming that they approve everything I requested. And then they will reimburse us monthly for what I submit on my Black Cat report. So that was the first letter. The second letter I need Danny to sign is basically saying that we are in compliant with the TAM plan rule. The TAM plan is just kind of a KDOT group plan saying that we're going to adhere to their policies and procedures for reporting to the state. The third letter is basically a letter saying that Danny is the authorized signer for my grant documents. The fourth thing is the certifications and assurances document, and it needs, I've dog-eared all the ones that need signed by Danny. We submit this every year. I think I gave it to David to send you guys if you wanted to read it. It's the same thing every year. Basically outlines our program and our policies. It has all kinds of information in there. If you want to look at it and turn it back to me later, you can. It doesn't matter to me. But anyway, that's what I need you all to sign.
You guys got any questions or concerns?
Do we need any kind of motion to sign this?
Well, I think probably a motion to allow the chair to sign the
Transportation grant.
transportation grant documents and just,
Well, I'll make a motion that we allow Danny, the chair, to sign the transportation documents for the grant money for the upcoming year.
Yes. And so their fiscal year runs July 1st through June 30th. So this was actually for 2026, but it will be effective this coming summer.
Starting in June.
Yes.
That's my
I'll
motion.
second that motion.
Motion been moved and seconded.
Requires all three of you to sign, and it's basically saying what our early budget is.
Okay.
And then Danny, all of these require your signature.
Okay.
So if you want to turn those back to me later, I just got to get it submitted this week.
then if you don't mind, Joyce.
Any more discussion on it?
Are you gonna scan that?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Copy with all the signatures.
Sure, I'll do that.
I'll get these back to you. You guys want to take them or
I
whatever?
think the rest of them for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Get you a stamp.
Any questions?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you, Joyce.
Okay.
All right. There was no public comment, right? Public comment? Okay. Sorry, we got sidetracked. Sean needed 10 minutes of executive session for non-elected personnel.
So,
I'll make a motion to go into executive session, 10 minutes, 10 minutes for non-elected personnel.
I'll say.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I don't, no action. Sean, you got anything else?
Commissioners, last week, I think it was brought to your attention that we need a alternate on Lake Region, on the Lake Region Solid Waste Council. My recommendation for at least the next 12 months, if you want to do later on economic development or someone else, that would be fine. But because other counties use noxious weeds and solid waste, and we keep household hazardous waste in the noxious weed building, and Johnny has the professional contacts and the winter hours that would allow him to set this board, I would recommend at this time you take a vote, nominate him as the alternate, and we address it 12 months from now and see how it works out.
Who was the alternate?
Myself, Jessica, and Al were the three on that board. Al and I are the remainders, and Jessica was the one that left the board.
So Al's still on it.
Yes.
I don't have any issue with that. I mean, if that's what you guys want.
I'll make a motion that we appoint
Johnny Taylor,
Johnny Taylor, drawing a blank, to the Southwest Regional or
Lake Region
Lake Region.
Solid Waste Committee.
Thank you.
I'll second. Motion been moved and second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioners, that's all I had for you.
On the roofs on the courthouse, Danny, you still looking at these?
Yeah, I called and talked to her again, and us being a board, I told her I couldn't really talk a whole lot of detail about it. I needed them to come in front of us, so, that was on Thursday. I talked to her again, I believe, and we were on her list to call back, but she just got busy, she said. So she's gonna talk to her boss, and they're gonna try to, I'm gonna call them back this week and try to confirm a date and tell them, get them here to speak with us in person, and then tell us what they can do. Her question was about government entity. She wasn't 100% sure exactly how the whole tax credit grant operation worked for government entities. So she was going to check on that and then give me a date and maybe come down here and help us. So,
Okay.
So I will reach out to her again and see if I can't confirm that date, and I'll have her, or I'll get her on her and her team on the agenda to come down and speak with us. And I think she said either way that she'd come down and speak with us and get us in the right direction so we can get moving on it. So there's another company called Strausser Preservation, I believe. I haven't reached out to them, but I know of them. And it might be beneficial to reach out to them too, and I can see what they would be willing to come down and talk to us and go through the courthouse and stuff. I expressed to them, the significance of the courthouse to this county and, what it means. And so they were excited. So she's just going to give me an answer. So if you guys are good with that, I'll just reach back out to her and try to get a date set. So
That'd be good.
all right. Well, I think David's going to get out here and get set up for election unless we got anything else that we need to.
Did you guys get a chance to look at that Falston bill that we, last week's?
What was sent out?
Yeah, I saw it was sent out. I haven't.
You looked at it or?
Yeah.
I just have questions of the things that we got charged for. The detailed billing, I mean, the one part where they took it upon themselves on a 16-page document off of one commissioner. I don't know what that was, but it's, that's something on the bill. And then with that bill, the detail of the billing, I look back at Gary's summary logs, and he's talking to her in December, charging us for it. And her summary log, or her detail quits in November. So I don't know how this, I think there's there's no correlation in the two bills.
Okay.
Gary charged us for his time. You guys could look back at his summaries. He charged us for, like, I think it was 9.2 hours of talking to the Trish. And then, I don't think her summary is real thorough on what she did for us. I mean,
Did they responded back with a few emails, didn't they, David? That you sent over?
I forwarded on what I got back from them.
I haven't been able, John, I haven't been able to review it in detail, as much as you, does it sound like, is it something we want to print out and bring to the table next week and we discuss it and go over it in very good detail and try to figure out what's happening?
It'll be fun.
when you guys can look at it and see, and I can bring the summary of Gary's too, but, you know, it's, and our price, I mean, even like the price, and they dropped the price, but you know, I don't think there's anywhere in our minutes, David, you could look back on that too, that we actually voted on a price per hour.
No, there was nothing about price.
You know, and then they, whatever it is, a loyalty discount or whatever, they immediately dropped their charge 1/3 right off the bat. And on a bill that's a year old, I don't know, why did they give us a discount and wait a year
To bill us.
to bill us? You do that, Danny?
Do everything different than Midland County. I wish, I mean.
Well, I'll get the paperwork around, and you guys can too, if you want to
Okay.
look at it. And look at Gary's summary log if you, for his months, and he's talking to her.
Is there anything in his summary where he agreed to a price with her or no?
We don't have anything in our minutes that we agreed to.
Does it state it in our contract
It is in that.
that we approved?
Where did we approve the contract?
I say, what I found in the minutes was you approve hiring. I don't see anywhere it says approve the contract.
That's what I said. We didn't
I
talk
will
about
look
price anywhere.
for the contract again and get
Okay.
it out to you too.
It sounds like something we need to discuss in detail. We'll talk about it next week in depth.
It'll be good.
Sounds good.
Anything else?
I don't know.
Me either.
I will make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved, second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.